everyone. Welcome once again to a Hobby Memorial Library and Mayborn Science Theater partnership event. We are happy that we have our CTC astronomer, Warren Hart, here today again.
Yeah.
And he has a ton of stuff that he's going to be talking about today. So I'm going to let you take it away, Warren.
Okay, let's go and show them the initial page of the library, the LibGuide for there. And so people will know how to get to all of the things you've put on there, and we'll
Study.
take care of that. So go right ahead.
All right. So you hit the study guides, then you hit astronomy and Mayborn Science Theater. And this is where we're going to be getting all of our maps and our calendars and all kind of other cool stuff, astronomy
Sure,
stuff.
you're right. And so many great resources are on there, and uh, are added as soon as we understand about something else we can put on there. So the library, CTC Library, is doing a great job here in helping those who are interested or curious about astronomy, that you can go there and find many different things. Okay, so let's go ahead, and what we're going to go to, and if you see on your page right there in the very just below the dome picture, there it says calendars and constellation maps. We're going to go to I want to go to the June calendar, which is right now. So
All right.
send,
I have
going to
it
bring it
pinned.
up.
I have it pinned up here.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
that's it. So we're already past this first page. So if you will scroll to the second page, thank you. And we're going to look at the week of 18 through the 24th. And today is the 21st. And there you see the information about the presentation, what we are doing right now. But I want you to look there at the bottom of Wednesday, the 21st, and you see something at 9:57 this evening, the summer solstice. Now, what does that mean? Right there, I have it for you. The sun is the furthest north of the equator this year. And so at that point, at 9:57, spring ends and the season summer begins. And what this also means that the sun is the furthest north, it will now start going south. And so every day will be a fraction of time shorter as far as daylight from sunrise to sunset. And people get confused when we have the shorter day. They say, well, it's not 24 hours. No, it's always 24 hours, but we're talking about daylight, sunrise to sunset. So anyway, there's that. And then you see on Thursday about the moon at its farthest location for the year. And then I want to draw your attention to this Saturday, there about the planetarium presentation. I just got a text from Ms. Winston, our astronomy section uh, director. The system is shut down. It's not working. And so there's a team coming that's going to do repairs, and that will extend into next week. So there is no night sky tour this coming Saturday. And I wanted to let you know about that, so uh, we can scratch that. All right, now that's all I wanted on the June calendar. So let's go to the July calendar, the first page, Cindy. There, and
Hang
the
on.
first page,
Had it up.
yep,
I don't know what I did with it.
right there is July,
I
right over
got it.
there.
So I
Okay,
got it.
now here is, you see on the first line, there is next week of June. And there's your information there for you and all of these different things. Now, look at the last day of June on Friday the 30th, and I have to give you an idea of the progress of what we do each year. Look at the second piece of information on Friday the 30th, and it says, at the end of the month of June, we will have gone through 41, or we have toured 41 of the total constellations that are in the sky. So at the end of June, we will have gone 47% working our way through. Then you look on the first day of July, three things. Uh, there's how many more days until the total solar eclipse. Also, on Saturday, the July the 1st, is the latest sunset for the year, 8:39 p.m. And then, as in relation to what I have on Saturday the 30th, here's on July the 1st, we have 47 more constellations to go through for the rest of this year, which is 53%. So we're not halfway. Okay. Now let's go on down and to the second row, and we come there are the locations of the moon for Monday and Tuesday, and we go over, look at Thursday the 6th of July. An interesting thing is mentioned there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 3:06. Earth, is at a location, and it's called the aphelion. And for those who understand Greek, you see the letter A prior to the main part of the word, which means it's the reverse of what the main word means. And so, Cindy, let's look at the picture that you have there. And notice we have on the left that in January is the perihelion, and peri, and Cindy, how do we use the word peri? What do we always think of in peri?
It's close,
Yes, it's the
perilously.
closest. So what that means is January of each year is when the Earth is closest to the sun in January. And now go to the right-hand side, and here we have for the July, if you will, down here, that the aphelion is that we are the farthest away. Now you would think if it's the farthest away, then it ought to be cooler, shouldn't it? Yeah, it's not as hot. But good night, we're in heat, we're in summer. What is going on? Well, that's the aphelion point, but actually when we would talk and we had a solstice picture there, we would see that Earth is tilted so there toward the sun, and we are in the northern hemisphere as you see, and so that's why, even though we're the farthest from the sun, we have more daylight because it is the northern hemisphere summer. Now, the the southern hemisphere works out perfectly all the time. So it's the farthest away of Earth from the sun, and they will, instead of entering summer, they will enter into winter. And so for them. So that's the confusion, if you will, that we have on that. So if we can let's go back to the calendar. And in the calendar, our second week there where we are, there's Thursday the 6th, what I was talking about. Then on the 8th, we have 9 months until the total solar eclipse on Saturday there. Now we go over on the third week, if you will, and the 9th through the 15th. There's the moon we're talking about at its position. But now we have our first of our 8 constellations for the month of July. And the first one is Corona Australis. And Cindy already has the picture of that. So here we go. Now, Corona Australis, and as for those, this is the first time maybe with us, but for others, this is a reminder. Corona Australis is the official name of the constellation, and all the constellations' names are in Latin. And so, Corona, look over to the right. What word do you think Corona means in English?
Crown.
Crown. And Australis, oh, Australia? No, Australis. So what would that word be over there?
Southern.
Southern or south? Very good. Okay, so that's what we have, the Southern Crown. Now, well, you can scroll on down just a little bit on that same first page, Cindy. There we are. There it is. And it looks like, and there, like uh, a queen or a princess's crown, like a tiara. Uh, so there's that. And as you can see on the picture, there's nothing referring, we're in the southern hemisphere because the latitudes that are mentioned are minus 30, minus 40, minus 50 degrees south of the equator. So let's scroll down to the second page. And in this case, there's only 2 pages. And here listed 1 through 11 are the information about the different stars that I have circled for you. And notice there's the word asterism in bold. Asterism, all that means it is the name of an object uh, given a name by somebody, probably an astronomer, centuries ago, who said, you know, this looks like to me a lemon slice. And so that's what he or she decided to call it. And an asterism technically means it is an object in the sky that is not the name of any of the 88 constellations. There is no constellation called lemon slice. Think in your mind, for those of us, we have heard and we know about the Big Dipper. Okay, that's an asterism. There is no constellation called the Big Dipper. So that's the whole thing there. And then the bordering constellations, how many are there around Corona Australis? There are 4. And if you start clockwise, you will notice them there. And this is I put this on every page or every constellation. So if you are interested in learning more about the sky, and scroll back up to the first page, Cindy, if you would please, right there. And notice there are our 4 constellations. And starting at the top above the white area, which is the region in the sky, the spherical region in the sky for the constellation Corona Australis, there it is Sagittarius. Going clockwise, you'd go around to Scorpius. Going clockwise, you're down at Ara. Going clockwise or over to Telescopium. Clockwise, you wind up back at Sagittarius. So if you are interested in learning more, you could choose any of those 4, and then those constellation information pages are available on the Central Texas College Library, the LibGuide section on constellations. So this way you can go at your pace and with your interest of how you want to learn more of the sky. So that's it on Monday the 10th. And on the calendar, if we look again, we see that the page there that is there's also Scutum the Shield. And so let's take a look at Scutum. It means shield, of course, in Latin. It's in English, the shield. And we can see it because there's the equator and it's further, and you keep going down, and we don't have anything saying that it's too far south for us that we can't see. So we can see both Corona Australis, which we looked at earlier, and we can see also all of Scutum right there. And the same thing indicating with the circles, with the numbers of the stars. But in this case, there is a yellow circle and it has the letter A in it. That's different because the other one, Corona Australis, didn't have that. So let's scroll down to the second page, Cindy. There's the list of our stars. And notice in our list of the stars at the very last, there's that letter A. And this, give that information to you. And it's called M11. And what that is the name of an astronomer back in the late 1600s, early 1700s, Messier, a Frenchman, and he was interested in finding comets. And so he would see, and we must remember that the technology he was using was the latest, but it was nowhere compared to what we have now. It was less than 100 years old of the technology. So what he was able to look through the telescope gave him very little ability to, we'll say, understand what he's looking at. And he would see like a glow in the sky, a smudge, if you want to call it, like on a blackboard. And he'd say, "Oh yeah, that could be the comet." So he would list in his book, his log book, and it happens to be the 11th object he records. It does not mean it's the 11th largest, it's the 11th brightest, it's the 11th of anything other than it's the 11th one he put down. And there's your information on it. And at the very end, you see it's got a name. It's called the Wild Duck Cluster. And that's what you would see if you uh, opened up the picture on it. That's what would be there. And then notice Scutum also, there it is right there, the A. And if I'd have thought of it, I would have given you a picture of M11. And I'll have to remember to do that and start providing for you the pictures that are available on the internet. And I'll just say offhand, just make a note. And when you decide you would like to look and see some more things, write down the word APOD, APOD. Put that in your search box, click enter, and you come up with what's called the APOD, and you'll see a picture. And what that means is it's for the astronomy picture of the day. And you will find out, and I'll get the research and make sure I get that back in that I can tell you. It's been going for at least 10 years, maybe longer, that every day there has been an astronomy picture that has been posted, and they are all still available, and you can look at them. And there is with APOD, there is an index that you can go to and you can choose what you want to find. Let's say you are interested in the constellation Scutum. So you would type in Scutum and hit enter, and it will bring up every picture that includes the picture of or information about Scutum. You can do the same thing for planets. You can do the same thing for whatever you're interested in. So uh, that gives us a little bit more information. And I will make a note that I will do that for next month for all of you to be able to look at. And I will also get set up to let Cindy download, and we will show the picture for today, which is the 20th of, let's see right here, the 21st of June, and there is a specific picture that's available. Okay, back to the calendar unless there's questions. Oh, okay, let's go on. And we have Scutum, and now we're going to go over, that's 1 and 2. Now we have a third one, and this is Lyra. Okay, let's go ahead and look at that picture, Cindy. Here is Lyra the harp. There's some information about it. And of course, we have our numbers. Now, there is that orange line, and that's our latitude line. And so, where we are here at the planetarium and this area, this region in the here in Texas, that that line indicates what is directly over the overhead of us. That is our zenith along that line. So Lyra is going to be virtually right up over you, and you will look just a little bit to the north. And there you have it. And then down below it, you see there is the Tropic of Cancer. That's in our northern hemisphere also. And that is where eventually in December, that our, well, actually, I'm going to back off here. Not in December. This is where the sun is going to be along that line there for us. And because that's the furthest north the sun goes, and it's in where we will get our summer solstice, our summer, uh, yeah, for us there. Okay, so scroll on down on the second, go past the second page, go to the third page. Now, notice I've put in for you to read through later on. Star number 2 is Vega, and there's a lot of interesting information about it. And notice it starts off the first star to be photographed in 1850. Also, the first time to have its spectrum photographed. In other words, the spectrum, what gas does that star have? That's 1872. And it's one of the 3 stars to first have its parallax measured. What's parallax? Well, that's what you have for your 2 eyes. You have a very small parallax capability, and that's how you can determine distance to something. If you took your hand and covered up one eye or the other, you will have no concept of distance. And so a person who is blind in one eye has a difficulty determining distance. And this is important to determine distance, especially if you're behind the wheel in the vehicle you're driving. You want to know distance to whatever. And the same thing the astronomers did was they used parallax, and there's a process to do that, so that we determine the distance to Vega. And notice there in the bold print on the first line there, it's 25.0 light years away from us. And of the 11 stars in Lyra, it's the closest one. So that gives us some information. You go down to the asterisms. Notice I've put in something that's kind of new. The navigators or the summer triangle. Now, I used it, the same thing, the navigator's triangle, because when I flew in the Air Force in the B-52, that's what we would use these three stars. You say 3 stars? Well, this is the first one, Lyra, the constellation that I would use Vega. And from that would determine our position where we are in the sky. And there's the bordering constellations. You can also see some other things there. And there's a point called the solar apex, and some more information that's unique to Lyra itself. Okay, let's go back to our calendar. And you see we have Lyra, our third constellation, and I have a note there for you. That's our 44th constellation we have now toured or gone through. So guess what? We are now halfway through, 50%. So just another little piece of information. Now, the next on Friday the 14th is Sagittarius, the Archer. This will be the main constellation. Go ahead, Cindy, for the month of July. It's a very important one here. And you see it's the area, and it's got a lot of letters, and we got numbers, and you see also there what I was talking about, that here is the ecliptic, the path of the sun and the planets and the moon, and the Tropic of Capricorn, which is the furthest south the sun will be at winter, the winter solstice. So I mentioned earlier that the other one, the Tropic of Cancer, we don't have on that page because it's not connecting there, is where the Tropic of Cancer and the ecliptic come together, and that is the summer solstice, which we are experiencing tonight. Now, notice I have both solid green lines connecting the stars, but I have some short dashed lines connecting the stars. What would that be? Let's scroll down, if you will, to the second page, Cindy. Let's see if we can figure something out here. There's all of the stars. There's a whole bunch, and there's a lot of A, B, C, D, and E. And go down to asterism. What do you read?
The teapot. That's what
The
it looked like.
teapot. Well, so let's scroll back up to page 1. And let's see if you can make out a teapot. Notice it's tipped a little bit. Look on the left-hand side of it, stars 7, 8, 12, and 10. What would you say on the teapot? What would that be?
12 and 10 is the handle.
That's the handle. Now, if we continue on, 10, 5, 4, 7, what do you have?
It's the pot.
That's the pot. What is 5, 1, 4?
That's the spout.
That's the spout. What's 467?
That's the other handle.
No, that's the lid.
Oh, that's the lid.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a
Well,
teapot in a
it
while.
depends on you how you want to handle it. Now, notice it's tipped like that, and out to the right of star number 1, to the far right of the white area, there's a green cross right there, and what does it say?
It's the galactic center.
Now, what does that mean? Well, let's go to page 2 and see if I have put any information in there. Keep going,
Center of
keep
the
going.
universe.
Almost. No, keep on going down. Keep going down on page 2. Right there. Interesting information.
Okay. See, I was right.
What's the second sentence?
The center of our galaxy,
That
galactic
is the
center.
center of our Milky Way galaxy. Now, uh, there's 3 things that's interesting about Sagittarius. It contains, as it mentions there, 15 of the Messier objects. He noted in his log 15 different objects. However, only 5 of them are visible with our eyes. The second thing is what's important, and I'll mention that to you, it is our galaxy, galactic center, our galaxy center. So if you scroll back up to the page 1, what happened a number of years ago, fairly recent, I think in the 50s, maybe 40s, there was an astronomer who was beginning to deal in radio to astronomy, and found out that a star is sending out a radio signal that you can tune the frequency to find the signal of it. And that indicates where that star is. And some of them you cannot see visibly, but you see where that star is and you can plot it on the chart. And then he noticed that, well, there's a bunch more right in this area, and he began to plot them, and he said, good night, there's a whole slew of them. That's a technical word, slew. And he began to plot, and he eventually figured out, you can't see it, but there, that point is the center of our Milky Way. And the reason we cannot see it is because there is a dark nebula. Nebula is Latin for cloud. There's a giant dark cloud nebula of gas with material in it that blocks the visible ability to see the stars behind it. So if we could ever get rid of that cloud, we would see the center of our Milky Way galaxy. But we cannot. We can only see it through the plotting this the where the source of the radio signal for each star. And so it also came to find out that every star sends out a radio signal at a certain frequency. So that's how the professional astronomers have been doing now for years, plotting stars that we have not seen visibly. But you can, if you go and get a telescope that is designed to pick out the frequency of the radio signals, you can then make a chart showing all of that. So it's interesting, and it's only in, of course, in Sagittarius. Now, I tell people when we're in the planetarium and the kids and all like this, that Sagittarius has at his side, he is the archer, You notice he's to the left of Scorpius, the scorpion. So Sagittarius has his bow and arrow pointed at the body of Sagittarius, and also he is pouring boiling hot water on the tail of the scorpion, because that's what you're seeing right there. Just another little fun thing to talk about for the sky. And that's one reason that Sagittarius is the most important or most interesting to me of the 8 constellations for July. Let's go back to the calendar. And let's look, we go down to our next line, and we're going to see there's the moon that's new. Let's go over, and we have on Thursday the 20th, the moon at its apogee. It's the farthest in its orbit around Earth for this period of time. And we have our 5th constellation. That's Telescopium. And let's go to Telescopium. Okay. Now, there you are. That's it. Not much in there to look at other than those, if you will, those 4 or 5 stars. Let's scroll down, if you would, please, Cindy, to the 3rd page. Maybe we'll get a little bit of information. Look at interesting information. This is Telescopium, one of the 14 constellations invented by the French astronomer Lacaille during his stay at the Cape of Good Hope, which is southern South Africa, in 1751-52. Now, what's he doing down there? Well, as the technology improved in time, the professional astronomers encouraged and also hired Lacaille to a journey by ship to go down to South Africa, which at that time was as far as they knew of anything, that they could go down, or he could go down, and it was his job for the southern hemisphere to design, name, and declare the constellations that he was going to choose and name for the southern hemisphere. So that's what he did while he was down there. And you can see there's the other 13 that he's got. And what is interesting in a way, but there, if you look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the 7th one, notice what he named it, Microscopium, okay, after a microscope. Is he running out of ideas? Maybe so, because also he's got, if we back up to horologium, that's for a clock, and then you go forward, there's reticulum, and that's for looking as crosshairs and also a reticle. So if you go back up now to page 1, notice how creative he was. He took, in essence, he took 3 stars and made a triangle. You can take any 3 stars and you make a triangle anywhere you want in the sky. So he was either running out of ideas or whatever. So I would just say on his creativity capability, I think he was rather shallow, just to be kind. Okay, that's Telescopium. Now, let's go on down in our calendar to our next last line in it. There we go. And we had Telescopium. Let's look at our 6th calendar. Pavo the peacock. And let's look at Pavo. There we are. Here it comes up, Pavo the peacock. And notice there's the orange line, and that's our southern horizon. And so what that means, as long as we stay here at the planetarium latitude here in Texas or around the world, that southern horizon is as far south as we can see. So we will only be able to visibly see star 11, none of the others, unless you decide to up and go, fly, drive, cruise in a ship, somehow walk, whatever you do to get further south. The further south you go, you get more that you can see to the south, of course. And if we looked at, and if you go back down to page 3, Cindy, and we'll go on after this, look down at the list of the stars, and number 13, the last one, or 11, pardon me, Peacock, and there it is, Alpha A Pavonis. It's the main star because it is the brightest, and it's Pavo the peacock, and they've also just decided to name that star Peacock. So just in the, and then there's the list of, in this case, 11 constellations, and some more were earlier that were included back in 1500. And so LaCale had only about 14 more to go to determine and fill out the southern hemisphere. Let's go back to the calendar and see what, and we can only see, remember, in there the top 1 degree of Pavo. Let's go, the next thing is on Wednesday the 26th. That's a month from today for our next presentation of the August calendar and also the 8 constellations. And then you'd see on Saturday the 29th would be when it's scheduled. That's when I will do the August constellations. And
Hey, Warren, you skipped Sagitta.
uh, oh, okay, good. My numbers here. Let's see, Peacock. Oh, you're right there, right down there. Thank you very much. And also
And
Aquila the Eagle. I
Aquila.
got both of them.
Yeah.
Wow, overlooking. I got all tied up in something else. There's Aquila the Eagle, and there you see it. And the eagle is facing us. So from 7 on down to 2, the semi-vertical line, that's its body and head. And then 1 across over to 11 are the wings, and it's facing us. And it's looking down, and to give you an idea, Aquila is relatively easy to find in the sky. And you see the 3 stars, 7, 8, and 10, that in essence, the eagle is looking at, I'll say the tip of his facing us, the tip of its right wing, star number 11. And that's visible. And what that will do for you, if you find star 11 in the sky, you are looking at just off of the equator to give you where the equator would be in the sky. So it's just a reference for you. Now, let's scroll on down, if you will, to keep going past
Where do we scroll?
2 and 3. Yeah, I'll scroll down to page 3 on Aquila. And there's the information all about it. And notice asterism. It's also called, it's part of the summer triangle. So we had in Lyra, we had the star Vega. Here in Aquila, we have the star, if you look there, Altair. And notice there's some information about Altair, and those are the first two stars of the summer triangle. So next month in August, we will get the third star for the summer triangle or the navigator's triangle that's going along. Okay, let's go back, and now we want to go to little Sagitta. Don't want to overlook it. There's Sagitta, and what we can say if we want to is these are one of the random arrows that Sagittarius the Archer shot in this direction. Okay, and it's also relatively easy to see. The stars there are in its area. See Aquila just below it? And there you see the three stars with Altair the eagle, the darker, the big black circle, solid circle there just below Sagitta. That gives you the reference, and if you go back up the head, the beak of the eagle, up you'll go to the tail feather of the arrow, and that will help you to find Sagitta the arrow. Okay, scroll down to page 3 as we go on, and you see the same thing, some information. There's another piece of information about Sagitta, and it and one other constellation has a unique thing that it has. So let's go back to our calendar, and that's what we have. And if you notice, we have gone through all 8 of our constellations for the month of June. So we would go on Wednesday the 26th, the next Facebook tour. On the 29th, my scheduled, I'm not going to say yes, but my scheduled August tour. And then we go on down on the last line of the calendar. And if you'll scroll just there, notice on the 31st, how many? Now we will have gone through, toured 49, and we're more than halfway. We are 56%. On the first day of August, we have 39 to go, 44% to go. And there you see what's coming in August, the first part. So there we looked at the current date and week of June. We looked at all of July and the first part of August for us there. If anybody has any questions or comments, be glad to answer them if I can. And whatever else we have. You got your microphone on. There you go, Cindy. What were you
Sorry
saying?
about that. I was trying to stop the blowing, leaf blowing
Oh,
noise.
okay.
Um,
Okay.
well, are there any questions, Alyssa?
No, we don't have any questions.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, I just wanted to show one more thing. I do have a quick question though while I'm looking for this. You said that you were a navigator in the
Yeah.
military.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how by looking at the constellations, that's how you were able to figure out where you were?
Well, I would look and recognize you don't see constellation borders and all in the sky, but if you know the main stars, what you're after, and it looks like that pattern, then you would know which constellation you're in, and you're going to choose. And sometime or other, I'll go get my sextant that I used fall in the B-52 and hold it up and show everybody if they want, and boring them to death and probably fall asleep and out of their chair. Then I'll get sued for injury. But anyway, what we did is we would look for 3 separate stars to find where we were from that star, wherever it is, over Earth at that time. In other
Okay.
words, we would draw what we were doing, we would draw a line from that star straight down onto Earth to the center of the Earth. And at that time, and right now I'm looking, it's 12:51 coming up at 12:51 and a half. So I would go to a big book that lists the time, how to figure it out. And that gives me a point over Earth where if you stood there, you were standing beneath that star and right over Earth, and that star would be directly overhead. And
That's so cool.
now we would use the sextant, and all the sextant is a very accurate instrument that measures angles. And what angle do you want? You want the angle from the horizon up to that star, and whatever that degree in minutes, that how high it is, that is going to give you a determination of how far you are away from what we call the center point, the of there on Earth where the star was right at that moment, its geographical point. And then we would draw a line, a short straight line. Then we would turn, look in 120 degrees, try to make it in 120. We would find another star we're familiar with. We'll do the same thing, draw another line, and hopefully it crosses that first line. Then we're going to turn another 120 degrees, the same procedure, and we're going to come up with where we're going to draw the line. And if we draw it, and if we did it accurately, we're going to wind up with a teeny little triangle where all 3 lines come. And so at that time, now the plane is still flying, but I had chosen a specific time to do all of reference to all of this. And then I would say, okay, I'll just say at 12:50, this was where the plane was on here on Earth on my chart, and I can plot that. Now we are flying at X speed in a certain direction. So I would take and measure for that on the chart, and I'd say, that's where we are right now. Now, what do? Are we on course? Are we off course? Do we need to turn left, right? What do? And I would inform the pilot over the intercom. And that's what we did.
That's unreal.
Yes, it
Unreal.
is.
So that's how you're so smart with everything in the sky.
Well, it started, I had to, going through navigator school. First of all, they said, well, all the pilot slots are full. And even though I could qualify for the pilot with my eyes, they said, no, would you like to go be a navigator? What's that? And they explained to me, and I said, yeah, sure, that's okay. So that's when I went to navigator school, and that's how I learned it. I had to learn all of the 50, 52, 54 celestial stars that are listed in the general book that we use, and those stars are always available when we're on that side of Earth that we can see them at night. And we choose which ones we want, and that's what we use.
It's amazing.
And
That's amazing.
I got interested in it, and so I continued on while in the Air Force. And then when I left and went into other work. I just kept my interest up. And eventually when I retired from another thing I was doing, and I told my wife, I said, you have been following me for these 40 plus years. My turn to follow you. Where do you want to go? And she said immediately, do you know what a nanosecond is?
Yes.
You know how quick that is. I mean,
Uh-huh.
at a nanosecond, she said, we're going back down to Central Texas where the grandkids are. Okay. Yes, ma'am. So we came down and I got here and I somehow in the newspaper or whatever, there came up word that, hey, there's a planetarium over at Central Texas College. So I got a phone number and I called and wanted to know if I could come and visit. And I did talk to one person there who said, yeah, come on. So I did go over and visit it. Come to find out later on, this was their second year of existence.
Gosh.
And but anyway, I said I would just like to volunteer to because I've done with my background, I'm interested and do what I can to help out. And so, well, I'll think about that. And so eventually, I got a call saying, well, you're interested coming over and volunteering. We cannot do that. If you come, we have to pay you. Oh, okay. So that's how I started. And this
Well,
is currently my 18th year or 17th year at the planetarium.
well, you are a gem to this college and this community, and we love listening to all your constellations. And I know you got me looking up in the sky all the time, and there's a
Good.
lot of people who watch this that you've given us your love of astronomy. So
Well,
that's
it's
awesome.
it's it's
Thank you.
available and it's free. Now,
Yeah.
Cindy, we got a minute, 2 minutes. If you pull up the LibGuide and let's take a look and give them how many people currently we have that have come to the astronomy LibGuide. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. He's showing off now. 261.
Okay, and that puts us what? Number three?
Number 4.
Oh, we're four. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So
So,
theoretically, then 203, or what you said, hopefully people have gotten something out of what we're doing that now they can go outside and they get, hopefully also you get thrilled that you can recognize something in the sky and you can, um, you just know more and you can appreciate what's up there.
yep, yep.
So that's the
Well,
whole thing.
that's awesome. Alyssa, let me check to see if there's any questions first.
No, no questions.
Okay. Before we go, I want to remind everybody to put on your calendar July 12th at noon. We're going to have Campus Bowl. This is when CTC faculty and staff they vie in a trivia game show, and it's a lot of fun and a lot of laughter. And we're going to be live streaming it on our Facebook. But the actual players, since it looks like this year they're all on the central campus, the players are going to be here at the library. There's a lot of blowhorn noise, buzzer noise, and hopefully they can answer some of the trivia questions.
Mm.
So that will be a lot of fun. And I didn't share the screen when I did that, did I? There it is.
There you are.
There it is. Yeah, Campus Bowl.
Yeah,
So
good. Is,
yeah, I'm just thinking
are
I'm
you in,
sharing the screen.
yeah, are you anticipating anybody going to bring a cowbell to clang?
Yes, we have a buzzer. We
Oh,
don't have a cowbell, but we have a
you
buzzer
don't?
of a cow
Oh,
noise.
Oh, you need a cowbell. I'll have to
And
bring one.
and the planetarium has their own team this year.
Oh,
So
very good.
you guys need to come and watch this. Warren, you'll have to come watch it and cheer on your planetarium team.
Yeah, I'll ring the cowbell every time you all get another good answer.
You know what they're called?
What?
The medium dippers.
Oh,
And then there's some more from the planetarium on another team, and they call themselves the Smartians, which is
oh,
short
very
for
good.
smart
Yep.
Martians.
Yes, good. Good. Excellent.
All right, well, we're gonna go
Okay,
and what?
Cindy, you mentioned Mars. Give your little quick thing. We're going to do in September.
Yes, we are going to have a round trip to Mars event, and Warren is going to be doing it. And he's going to, for those of you who think you're going to go to Mars like next week, yeah, he's going to burst that bubble a little bit, but he's going to give you a lot of science behind it.
Yeah.
So it should be a lot of fun. And we're working on it now, huh, Warren?
Yes, yes, indeed.
A
Looking
lot of
forward
cool
to it.
graphics. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I'm
all
going to
right.
take the magic of Cindy of how she can do things to move on the screen. So,
Oh my
we're
gosh. All right. Well, on that note, Warren, we will
going,
see everybody, and you guys have an awesome week, an awesome month, and we'll see Warren again in a month. So
you do.
thank you, Warren.
You bet.
And